There's definitely a lot of lame superheroes out there, like Matter Eater Lad, whose superpower is the ability to eat anything, and of course the great Arm Fall Off Boy, whose superpower is exactly what it sounds like it is. There's actually a lot of superheroes that the general public think are lame, but they're not lame at all. In fact, they're kind of badass. Yeah, that's right, Squirrel Girl. She's basically a 14-year-old mutant who's a human-squirrel hybrid, and her main ability is the power to communicate with and command squirrels. Now, I know you're thinking, how could this character possibly not be lame? She's similar to the popular character Deadpool in that she was mainly created as an act of satire and comic relief, but she's basically this bubbly little girl with hilariously absurd powers who's fucking unstoppable. In her first comic book appearance ever, she defeats Dr. Doom. Let me put this in perspective. Dr. Doom's famous metal armor is strong enough to withstand a direct blow from the goddamn Incredible Hulk, and her squirrel army was able to gnaw through it like it was a granola bar. She would later go on to defeat many other powerful Marvel characters like MODOK, Thanos, and even Deadpool himself. And that's just a few in a long list of crazy powerful people that she's defeated. In fact, if you consider her track record, she's probably the most powerful Marvel superhero of all time. Fucking Squirrel Girl. In the old 90s X-Men cartoon, many episodes of which I can quote from beginning to end, Jubilee basically served as a rambunctious child who got in the way more than she actually helped. On top of that, she had a bullshit superpower, the ability to create fireworks. Big whoop. Short of grunt work like breaking padlocks or scaring raccoons off the Xavier Institute's front lawn, her power was rarely used to serve any great purpose in the show. See, a common thing among comic superheroes is that they fight by a code of honor, which usually includes not killing or severely injuring their enemies. You rarely see it in the cartoons because they're for children, but in the comics there's a few cases of these heroes that normally fight by this code of honor basically losing their shit and unleashing their full power, and Jubilee is an example of that. See, when Jubilee gets panicked or pissed off, those fireworks can become outright explosions, and she could level your entire home, and she has. Another thing people don't realize about Jubilee is that she uses her mind to direct where her little blasts go. This means that she can make them appear anywhere that she can visualize, like, I don't know, inside your skull. Those super lame cartoon shows from the 70s and 80s like Super Friends did much to sully the names of badass superheroes like Wonder Woman and Superman, and in the process they introduced two of possibly the most lame superheroes of all time, the Wonder Twins. You have of course Jano, who has the power to transform into animals, and Zan, whose power is to transform into water. But the writers down at DC, up to the challenge, they further expanded on what they could do with these seemingly lame superpowers. So Zan can turn into any form of water. Well, you know, how about a typhoon? Or a fucking water monster. And Jaina can morph into animals, but what I didn't tell you is that the animals don't have to exist in real life. So the next time you're walking down the street and you see a huge fire-breathing dragon and a 30-foot tall ice golem attacking you, you come back and tell me who's lame. Oh, our good friend Aquaman. The aforementioned Super Friends had assembled a solid team of hacked versions of our favorite superheroes, but no one got castrated quite as badly as Aquaman. The main reason people seem to think that Aquaman is lame is because they never expanded on the full extent of his powers. Everyone knows the Aquaman basics. He lives underwater and he can communicate with and command sea creatures. And even if that was his only power, I failed to see how that's lame. This man could summon an army of ravenous barracudas to maim you to death. The thing is, that's not his only superpower. For one, he's able to swim at thousands of miles per hour. Thousands. And since his body is adapted to survive in the deepest depths of the sea, he also has super strength and super endurance. Aquaman is bulletproof, man. Another thing people don't realize is that Aquaman just doesn't control fish. He can command all marine and marine-related life. This includes giant squids, whales, dolphins, virtually all amphibians and reptiles, seahawks, and humans who are descendants of prehistoric marine creatures. And I know you're thinking, well, if your enemy's not in the water, then Aquaman is useless. But you forget one thing: Aquaman is friends with Batman. And you know Batman created a special water suit for Aquaman to wear, so he's just as effective on land as water. So as it turns out, Aquaman is just as overpowered as all the other DC characters. Honorable mentions for this list include Daredevil, who a lot of people think is lame just because he's blind. But what makes him badass is he literally lives in the hood and he literally does not give a fuck. He's one of the few superheroes that will kill you. Another honorable mention is Static, who most people know from that cartoon show Static Shock. Most people who read comic books would say that Magneto is one of the most awesome characters ever, whereas Static has the exact same powers as Magneto. Do you know any other underrated comic book characters? Leave them in the comments.